G'day everyone. Just thought I'd jump on and do a quick instructional video, as earlier this morning I had an issue with my main Lightroom catalogue going corrupt. So it's a fairly big catalogue file. I've been using it for a lot of years. It's got just under 100,000 photos in it, and all the other edits and data and stuff that I've done over all that time. So yeah, it's a pretty big issue to not be able to open that catalogue and do stuff in there. So the last thing I need is to lose all that sort of information. Yeah, so it's a pretty big issue. But luckily I was able to resolve it fairly quickly by using a backup file that I create on a regular basis, and I've got Lightroom set up so that it asks me to back up the catalogue file every time I exit Lightroom. I do that most times, like if I've done edits or loaded new photos or changed things around in there a fair bit, I usually back that up when I exit. If I've just got in there to just have a quick look or export some photos or something, then I don't bother. I just say no, I don't want to back it up at this time, because it's such a big catalogue file, it can take a little time to back up. But yeah, so luckily I was able to restore it, and I'm back on track again. But I just thought I'd get on and firstly show you guys how to set up Lightroom so that it asks you to back up when you exit Lightroom. And the other process I thought I would do is just to show you how I found that backup file and what I did to restore it and point Lightroom to that backup file so that it opened up correctly and I could see all my photos again. So yeah, so let's jump in and have a bit of a look at what I did. Okay, so here we are on Lightroom, all fully restored, which is great. So the first thing I want to cover is how to set up Lightroom so that when you exit Lightroom, it'll ask you to back up your catalogue file. So how we do that is we go up to the top menus here and we go to Edit, and then we go Catalogue Settings, and you get this. So here in the General tab we've got Backup Catalogue, and we want it on every time Lightroom exits. So it's sort of a bit misleading, but it will ask you when you exit. And you've got all these other options here. Some of these might be suitable, but I generally have it set here, and I like the way it works because I can either select whether I want to back the catalogue up or not. So I've got every time Lightroom exits. So now if I go and exit Lightroom, you can see here it asks me this backup catalogue dialog box. So there's the selection there, every time Lightroom exits. So it brings this up. Gives you the backup folder. So you could actually select that folder into your Dropbox folder or somewhere like that, and leave your Lightroom catalogues on your computer or your hard drive where your photos are. So you could actually select, you can see there I've got it in a Dropbox folder, so that would actually be a good strategy to have these backup files on your on Dropbox or OneDrive or one of those cloud backup programs. So test integrity and optimize catalog before backing up. I think you'd be crazy if you didn't have those on. You obviously want to keep it as optimized as possible, and then you can either select backup or skip this time. So if I'd been into Lightroom and I had done, loaded some new photos and done a heap of edits and things like that, then I would select backup. It probably takes a minute to a minute and a half to back up, maybe a little bit longer sometimes because my catalogue's fairly big. So yeah, it takes a little while to back up, but generally, most times it's at the end of the night or whatever, and I just set it going and, or, let it back up and go and do something else or whatever. Or if you haven't done much in Lightroom, you've just opened it up to have a quick look or export some photos or whatever, then you haven't done any major changes or whatever to your catalog, then you can just hit skip and it'll just close Lightroom straight away without backing anything up. So even if you hit the X button, it'll still skip it and exit Lightroom anyway. So, but I'm not going to back it up this time, but I'll just skip it just to show you. So there, it just closes Lightroom, and I'll just open that back up again. There you go. So yeah, back in. Yeah, so that's a really good process to have set up so that you get those backup files. Now, where your backup files are going to be, generally on the root folder of your computer under users. Like you'll have this is a PC obviously, so you by default Lightroom actually puts all its files in your pictures folder. So you can see that I've got the pictures folder, and then I've got this folder called Lightroom, and it's got catalogs and things like that. So there's the original Lightroom catalog that I had set up when I set it up years ago. So, and you have all these. So that's generally where your main catalog file will be. But I don't actually have that on there. I've got all my Lightroom stuff actually on Dropbox. So I've got all these folders here. So you can see there's my don't worry about this conflicted one. That's just some other copy that's come about. I'm not sure why that's happened yet, and it wasn't there a few minutes ago. So, but I can probably end up just deleting that one anyway. You can see there it's an old copy, so I'll probably remove that. So that's the actual Lightroom catalog file that I'm actually using now. I just renamed it with a B for backup. Yeah, so that I know, and I wrote some actually notes in my diary about what I did and when I did it, and which files I used and things like that, so that if ever I have any issues down the track, I can refer to that and sort of go back and revisit what I actually did, apart from watching this video, which is another reason why I'm doing it. So so you can see there you got all these other files. I've got a heap of other catalogs and all these other Lightroom folders that Lightroom creates, but you can see there's one here called backups, so, and it puts them in date format. So this one here is the one that I actually restored from. So see, 19th of March 2021 at 18:10, which is 6:10 last night. So that was the last backup that I had before this morning. Now these folders, I'll just open this one up. All they have created in them is like a zip file. So you've actually got to unzip these files, which is what I've done here. So you just right click whenever it comes up. Right click and just go extract all, and you end up with a folder like this, and there's my catalog file. So this one was actually version 10, didn't have that B on it, but before I copied it across into my root folder, I actually put the B in front of it. So all I did then was got that file and I dragged it across into this Lightroom catalog root folder, which is where it is there now. So before, I still had my old catalog file, which was the corrupt one, which was the version 10 without the B. So I had two files there. One was corrupt, one was not. So when I opened up Lightroom with the 10B file, everything was good. So, and then I went back and just removed that other file. Yeah. So yeah, it's important to have all these files there, so and backed up, so that if you need them, then you can just run through that little process and replace your corrupt catalog file with one that's good. And if you do that regularly, like every time you make some major changes in your Lightroom catalog, then you should be right. And the chances are, like in my situation, I didn't actually lose any photos or edits or anything at all, which was really lucky. So I guess if you hadn't done it for maybe a week or two, you might lose a little bit of information if you've done stuff in that time. But yeah, so it's important to do that regularly. And I actually had a lot more backup files in here as well, so these zip files are fairly big, so they're like 390 megs. So every now and again you can go in there and just delete a heap of them, because you only really it's always good to have a few there, I guess, in case you need a few others. You have to keep going back, but yeah, but go in there and check it like every few months or whatever, and just remove any old files, so that you're not taking up too much space on your computer or Dropbox or whatever. Okay, so that's about it. We've restored that catalog file, and hopefully it'll all be hunky-dory for now. So we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll catch up soon. Cheers.